Abroad Pod.
Hello, I'm your host, Rowan Lomas, and this is the Teaching Abroad Pod. Do you remember how back in episode 61 we had Thomas Davis, the founder of Sueños Compartidos, on the show to talk about his volunteer program's origins and how it all works? Well, this is the episode in which we are lucky enough to have a recent participant who just returned from Colombia. Joining us today is Oxford Seminars graduate Mitra Madhavi, who emailed me upon her return to America to say that she is back from, and I quote, the most amazing experience of my life in Colombia, and she wants to tell the world all about it. In addition to her TESOL certification, Mitra earned a Bachelor of Science degree from San Jose State University in 1993, an MBA from Golden Gate University in 1994, and a Master of Metaphysics Science from the University of Metaphysics in 2023. She's worked in IT, landscape design, yoga, and meditation, and has taught English in the United States, Mexico, and most recently, Colombia. Welcome to the pod, Mitra.
Thank you so much. I'm so happy to be here.
So you recently told me, as I already mentioned off the top, that volunteering in Colombia was the most amazing experience of your life, and I can't wait to hear more about it. Why was it so amazing? Do tell.
100%, 100%. Of course, I went really no expectation whatsoever. I just checked out Monteria to see, where is it in the vicinity of Bogota, did a little research, but I had no idea what I was going to be doing. I knew I was going to be assisting a teacher, but what that entails, I had no idea. The beginning was just amazing because upon my arrival, Yanni, who is the teacher, Yalinis, who's the teacher who was my mentor the whole time, she insisted that she was going to pick me up in the middle of school day from school. I had no idea that she was going to get some of the students who were really excited to come and see the new teacher to come and be in the car with me. So she showed up with these wonderful, beautiful 3 boys and a girl who kind of relatively spoke English. And they were so amazingly welcoming, asking me questions. And I'm like, oh my God, I can tell this is my element. So that was the beginning of it. And I don't want to keep going on if you want to interrupt and ask questions. So.
Well, I'm curious. I don't think many people have heard of or know anything about Monteria. What does it have to offer as a place to live?
So Monteria is on the Caribbean side of Colombia, and Colombia is so vast. It has such a different type of climates, microclimates. So Bogota is on the colder region, and then Medellin is perfect spring weather all year round. That's why it's so popular. And then you go into the Caribbean region, which is Monteria and then Cartagena. So Monteria is on the Caribbean side. And it was interesting, is one of the reasons I chose Colombia versus Honduras, because I was contemplating between Honduras and Costa Rica and Colombia. I read that Honduras is hard to understand the Spanish because of their accent and the Caribbean usage. I'm like, well, I also want to better my Spanish, so I'm going to go to Colombia. Well, I didn't know that on the Caribbean side, they're all the same. Unbelievably difficult way of understanding their Spanish because they don't use S's and they speak so fast. They have their own microculture, really interesting. So I was on the Caribbean side. So it was 95 degrees. And that's another thing I said. I'm like, oh my God, 95 degrees pretty much all year round. And it could rain. And I kind of like clear the rainy season. But I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to do it. I'm just going to go see what it's all about. So it's very flat. It has about 600,000 people. But, it has beautiful restaurants. It's got character. Their sense of pride is 3 big malls. So the weekend passing is mainly like going to the malls and hanging out with friends and family.
Nice. And I imagine the architecture must be quite something.
Non-existent because
Really?
it's relatively, I know it's
I
non-existent.
know in Bogota it looks so nice.
Yes, very different. Monteria is relatively new in comparison to the Bogota, Medellin, and Cartagena, so newer. So architecture is that just straight, 80s, no character kind of buildings.
Okay, fair enough.
Zero. So if you're searching for character, that has no character, but the community has plenty character to make up. Yeah.
Like is dancing big there? A lot of dance hall type
Yes,
experiences.
yes. I didn't go dancing. My those days are gone. But I was actually kind of like not going out much, but there were people that were going. I would go to dinner. I would go, like if they would invite me, I would go to the invitations. They were all very interesting. When the community invites you to their home, I loved it. Such an interesting experience. But yes, for younger people, there I heard that they're like, really nice dancing stuff. They're into dancing. What unites this, that's what I realized, that what unites this nation, the Colombian nation, is their love for dance. One thing that was so beautiful is like we were listening to music in the car, and normally it's like Yanni, husband, kid, mom, cousins were like sitting in the car to go somewhere. They're all like, when the music comes on, their dad is singing, mom is singing, grandma is singing, kids are singing, they all know their lyrics. It's just beautiful. I loved it.
And what about food and drink? Do you have any recommendations?
Interesting enough, and this is what I experienced in Cartagena before I had been to Cartagena. You can't expect much from the food. It's Caribbean-ish, so it's the main dish is a little bit of a rice with coconut and fried fish, and the culture of vegetable is really non-existent. But the avocados are out of this world, so I was like piling up on avocados. The food was very fried, very empanada-ish, things like that. Very different on the Caribbean side than Medellin. Medellin is like a whole world of culinary experience. But
Mm.
this was simple. This is a simple community that were,
Kind of
the food is like, yeah,
authentic life.
authentic survival. So the fish is in the river. So they eat fish. There's
So
mangoes
it's
all.
fresh. It didn't come from China.
Not at all. Absolutely. Like on the side of the streets, there are always like fishermen selling fresh fish. There's mangoes and avocados all over. So that kind of makes you feel good that nobody really will starve in this community. There's so much abundance in nature. And that makes
My
you, that,
favorite thing about
yeah.
living in tropical countries. Like I lived in Costa Rica for a while. The markets are just so bursting with fresh fruits and vegetables, and especially the fruits, the mangoes and the
Oh
dragon
my
fruits and all of
God.
that stuff.
So
So
exotic.
delicious.
So exotic. So many. I was like so excited to try all this different type of foods. Like, wow, like so good.
And what was it like living with a host family?
Well, I didn't.
Oh, you didn't.
I chose to have my own place. So this teacher, Yalinis, is a part of a Sueños program. So one volunteer, once going to Monteria, decided that he was going to help them get volunteers because he saw the influence, unbelievable influence of somebody just showing up. You don't have to have any experience, but just showing up, it just adds so much spice to their lives and opens that everybody brings something with them from the outside, kind of like the olden days that they get a visit from the next tribe. So just by show, so he created this website that he is the one who immediately connected me to Yalinis, who is committed to make her students bilingual because she believes, which is true, that if they become bilingual, they're going to do well in the world. So they're teaching English. It's a public school of 3,000 kids in the more like not so affluent area. So Yanni was from that community, so she had experienced, that kind of a living. So she was committed to go back to the school. She has a PhD and make these kids bilingual, and they had done such a great job. Really impressive. So the reason I wanted to do this podcast was mainly to thank you and all of you. You're just so wonderful. Every time I wanted to do a placement, and I would change my mind. And I'm like, no, I'm ready to go. Then I would change my mind. You guys have been so great and so resourceful, so enthusiastic, so motivating. Really, honestly, such a great experience. So I had no idea what I was going to do, but these people, they want somebody. And I'm Persian. I have some accent. I came to the U.S. when I was 16. But it really doesn't matter. There were people from France teaching English. There's fewer, people. So it really doesn't matter. They just so happy to see a new face from somewhere. And the kids constantly ask me, how come you came and visited us? It's like such a, I'm like, oh my God, I'm the luckiest person to have visited this bundle of love of a community. So
Sounds
good.
awesome. Yeah. Also wondering, you've mentioned a few other cities. What sites do you most recommend to see in Colombia, whether in Monteria or elsewhere?
Oh, Monteria has charming little beaches around it, and your host family will take you to these beaches and
How
things
far
like
is it to the beach?
about 2 hours, but it's
Okay.
pretty.
It's
It's
not
like you
right on the coast.
yeah, exactly. And you buy little things, people are selling. I love these kind of things. I'm really curious, like, what are they selling? So I'm always buying them and then eating them and seeing what's going on. So it's like you're living in that, a part of the world that you had no idea existed, first of all. And then you just go and see there's like this whole world going on, this buzz and this community. So there's the beach. Within Monteria, there really isn't anything. You can go walking, you can go biking. It has a big bicycling culture. So there's actually really nice, chic bike cafes and things like that.
Nice.
That bikers hang out and then they drink their coffees and really, really actually upscale. Really nice.
How's the
Although,
coffee? We import a lot of Colombian coffee.
yeah, coffee was amazing. Actually, we never had bad coffee. I'm not a huge coffee connoisseur, but I know when a coffee is bad. They're medium roast, so it's a very beautiful. We never had bad coffee, no matter where we went. But their own way of there's this thing that they call like in the teachers' lounge, like, would you like some coffee? I'm like, sure. It's like full of sugar, so they have a different thing that mix coffee and sugar, very sugar oriented community.
It was like that in Cuba too, I think I recall. Maybe it's you have to do it yourself if you want to do it your way.
100%, 100%.
And what about Mexico? I know you previously volunteered in Puerto Vallarta. What was that like? What are some of the similarities and differences of teaching in
Mexico,
Mexico
yeah,
compared to
Mexico
Colombia?
was my own thing because but I want to go back to Colombia, to Monteria, if I may.
For sure. Go ahead.
Mexico was also amazing. It wasn't through you guys. It was just like we have presence in Puerto Vallarta for a long time. So I decided to get involved in the community while I was there. So we kind of like created a situation where kids in Mexico, they have two shifts. So in the morning they go to school, and then some kids go in the afternoon in the public schools. So in between, a lot of these kids belong to parents of like vendors selling things and stuff like that. So in between, these guys are at home, just unsupervised. So we decided to bring them to this community, and then while we would give them lunch, and then while we had their attention, they were waiting. I was teaching them English, and it was perfect.
So you were like the founder of that program.
Yes, pretty much,
Okay.
pretty
And
much. In
did it
collaboration with a church, some kind of church that was there. So in collaboration with the church.
basically only existed while you were there? Now it does not exist.
Not the English, no. The food, it does still exist,
Oh,
but
okay. That's nice. It's
yeah,
still going.
exactly. So, but I want to go back to Monteria because you don't really need to know much, even though I have experience and I'm comfortable teaching. I want to say what I did, what I realized how I can influence the situation. So at the beginning, you're just kind of like figuring things out. You're just, whatever Yanni wanted me to do, I would go with her. She would take me to different classes, introduce me, tell them that I'm here. The kids would get up with their English and just like welcome me. It's like, oh my God, I just would melt. So excited to be there. And then I decided the best thing I can do is create like these 3-minute clips. So for my landscaping. So I do these clips of where I was born, and I would like write it on one kind of like a
Like a
on one
PowerPoint.
note. Yeah, exactly. So I would say like I went to Iran, so they can see what I was written. They can see, and then I would send a picture, and then I would show like where is Iran. Then I moved to Los Angeles when I was 16. What are the icons of Los Angeles? I would show them like Hollywood, Disney. Then I would say, then I went to for my studies in San Francisco. Then I would do icons of San Francisco. Then I started to talk about food and culture. What are the people of San Francisco all about? And then I realized I have an influence because they were so curious. So the next one, and then when I assessed their English of the 10th and 12th grade, I did one for pop culture. What is going on with the kids their age in the West? And then I used that method to raise consciousness. They care about the environment. They care about social justice. They care about gender equality. I would show them that they're more now into caring about the environment, so they buy vintage, secondhand. So I started to raise consciousness for this community because I noticed that there's a lot that needs to be done, like about not throwing garbage, as we know. So I talked about that every chance I got. That we need to be conscious. This is what usage of plastic does. I would show them pictures on the with the little clips that I made. So like raising awareness. So that's also our opportunity when we go somewhere.
Absolutely. It reminds me when I was in Korea, I did the same kind of thing because I would notice just litter in the field beside our school. So I almost wanted to treat every day like Earth Day. Maybe not every day, but like once a week, I do an activity outside, maybe a scavenger hunt. And one of the things would be pick up at least 3 pieces of litter and throw it in the garbage. Like,
Love it. Love it. I think that's what I wanted to mention is that just looking beyond the opportunity of going and teaching, that's fantastic, which is great. And they just want conversation. We don't need to know grammar. You don't need to be perfect. Anything we give them is more than what they have. So they're very grateful. And then we get a chance to go around the world and raise consciousness,
mm,
care about the environment. You are equal. All of these things that we're trying to really like fight for right
absolutely. Love it. So, what would you say is next on your TEFL bucket list?
now. Well, my bucket list, I decided this is what I'm going to do every year because I'm a landscape designer. So between January, February, I don't have anything and it's cold and it's rainy and there's nothing to do here in a way. So I'm like, this is a perfect time for me to dedicate 2 months of my life and I have that opportunity. So next year I'm going to reach out to you guys again. I'm going to do, I'm thinking Costa Rica or Honduras. I'll just weigh the options. And then I'm probably going to do a round. I'm probably going to go to Monteria again, but I want to touch other communities. For the amount of time I was there, and I'm not saying this from arrogance, I'm just saying this for sharing information, is that I connected with about 5,000 kids. Because from
Wow.
other schools, when they knew that a new person had come, they would contact Yanni and ask her if they could borrow me. We're laughing. I'm like, you're trafficking me. I'm being English trafficked. They would come and pick me up from my hotel. I decided because I was doing a bit of it. I decided to stay in my hotel suite because it was really nice. I wouldn't feel guilty about the AC, and I negotiated a really good rate with them, so it ended up being really good.
For
Yeah,
people who don't really want the host family experience, you don't have to. But for people who do, I'm sure it's a great way to save money and live like a
totally.
local.
Totally. So you can stay with the host if you're good with it. If you're not, Airbnbs were very nice, and I couldn't even believe they're Airbnbs. But I guess for business travelers, there are always Airbnbs here. They were very business oriented, and really cute, nice hotels, simple,
How
clean.
much might it run you for a month in a hotel?
Well, I did mine was a little bit luxuriating. So about a month and a week, I said one extra week. It was $2,100. So to me, it was
That's what
totally
you
worth
pay
it.
for the luxurious experience. Okay.
That's what exactly because I had a pool. I had people around me. I love the location, but you could do this with $600.
Yeah. I think my apartment in Costa Rica was about that much. And it had a
Six
pool also, outdoor
six hundred
pool.
or 21.
600,
Wow, that's
maybe
amazing.
500. I can't remember exactly.
Wow, that's amazing. Yeah, definitely on the agenda. My next thought is Costa Rica because they also contacted me and I felt really guilty because I had already committed to Colombia. So I'm like, I'll come back to you guys because they were also very kind. It's like the kids need you and they do need us. And it's honestly, if you have the ability to do it, because not everybody can do it, because
Well, it's a nice idea to have this kind of rotation,
yeah,
different country every year for 3 years, but then come back around and they'll know you and appreciate you. And then other people will also have a chance to do it. You aren't taking up all the spots.
exactly. And to put yourself out there. And I faced all my fears. It was hot. I was able to handle it. I didn't have my normal like comfort zone of my life here, but it was beautiful. It was wonderful because I had a purpose. I would wake up with a purpose and I would wake up and I'd be surrounded by love. The moment I would walk into the school, our kids are doing, I love you, teachers. I'm like rushing to hug me. I got a billion hugs. So I had a purpose, and all of the things that I thought I needed just completely out the door. I was in pure bliss, exhausted. By the time I would get home, I was like, I would have coma like sleep because you're like learning, trying to understand Spanish, trying to speak Spanish, even though you don't need to know it. So it was, I would say, experience of a lifetime that I wish everybody would take a chance and do it.
Amazing. Because
Yeah.
finally, what advice do you have for people who may be on the fence about spending money on TEFL training and hesitant about the startup costs for teaching abroad?
Interesting because you know how you go to school and you graduate, you feel like you've forgotten everything and what did you learn, and then all of a sudden situations happen in life that it's like, oh, this is from what I learned in school. So when I was there, I realized many aspects of, even though I did the training a while ago, many aspects of importance had stuck in my mind, like using all of their senses to teach them how to engage them and all of that. And this is, again, it's just conversational, so we all worry about are they going to expect us to, like, no, nobody remembers all these detailed grammatical stuff, but we all know how to speak. We all know how community of us speak, right? And that's what they want. They want the casual speak. They don't want the book speak. Because I used to tell them, like, you're using really big words. You don't need to use these, and it makes making it too complicated. You can simplify it. You can simplify your sentences. So that's what they want. Simplification of learning English.
Cool, cool. Well, thank you so much.
So sorry, the advice is
Oh,
absolutely 100%. If you can get your certification, get it, because the best part of it is you guys, honestly. Not only you learn, and then you have an outplacement leg that is kind and loving and is connected to the world, and you feel safe when you get placed by them.
so glad to hear it. Thank you so much for your kind words and for coming on the pod to share all about your experiences.
Thank you so much. This was a pleasure. I'm so glad I got a chance to talk about it so more people would take a leap of faith. It's going to be great. Safe, secure, loving.
Glad to hear it. And that's a fair point. Some people do ask about safety in Colombia. People who've watched Narcos on Netflix or whatever, they're a little concerned. So it's good to know
Very
you
safe. I
can.
lived in Mexico that everybody, again, fears for so many years. I never felt more safe. They return to you the wrong money that you gave them. My wallet has fallen. They've given me. Do not listen to the media. Every country has that, right?
Yeah. I mean, it's good to do your research and know maybe which neighborhoods you might want to avoid in a major city. But I always say that's true about Los Angeles and New York and Toronto as well. If you like get too scared by the travel advisories of the government, you'd never leave the country.
Absolutely. ChatGPT was my best friend. I
Oh,
would
yeah.
ask all these questions. I want to go walk around when I was like in Bogota. So I'm like, what neighborhood? I want to go walk around at night. Like, so ChatGPT was like perfect.
Nice. Good to know.
Yeah.
All right, before we go, I should mention our contacts in Colombia offer a great range of positions from business English to adults to language schools for students of all ages to K-12 public and private schools and short-term volunteer programs like the one Mitra just mentioned. Salaries can range anywhere from volunteer up to about $3,000 a month, some with free housing. Some of the high-end international schools even offer travel expenses for very highly qualified candidates. While the K-12 schools prefer hiring for the school year start in February or for July to begin after the summer break, there are always openings throughout the year. Get in touch with your placement advisor for more information. Thanks as always for tuning in to the Teaching Abroad Pod. We'll be releasing new episodes monthly for the foreseeable future. If you enjoyed this episode, please be sure to like and subscribe and share it with your friends. Remember, you can find us on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and all the usual places. If you have any great ideas you'd like to hear us discuss in upcoming episodes, please leave them in the comments on YouTube. Email us at teachingabroadpod@oxfordseminars.com or email your job placement advisor like Mitra did, and we'd love to hear all about your experiences. Thanks for listening.